Now, I'm clocked in today. I was not necessarily supposed to be clocked in today because I had done all my content videos for the week, but I got my watermelon fresh juice right here. We need to get into some things, as y'all can see from the title, so let's get started. So, I just come from a family outing, and then I ran a quick errand because I had to re-up on my seasonings for the crib naive. You know, can't cook without your seasoning, so I had to go do that. And on my way back, I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I see Pooh, Shiesty, and his father arrested for kidnapping Gucci Mane. What? What kind of foolishness is happening? You know, and didn't Pooh Shiesty just come home the fuck from jail? Oh my God. So we about to break this down. I have not really been touching on the guys for real. I've really been getting into the ladies' asses, but we gonna get into this situation, you know, because there's a lot of pointers that I want to point out, you know. I did touch on 2 Chainz, but that was like encouragement. I do have a video coming about DDG, but that's more so like relationship based. So stay tuned for that. But this situation is criminal. It is demonic. It is just low vibrational, and I think we need to talk on this. So starting first, well, Shiesty just came home a few months ago. Okay, so there's that. So he's going back to fuck to jail if he's proven guilty for whatever the fuck they're claiming that he did. So there's that, and apparently they got proof and everything, like security cameras and shit like that. So there's that. That man just apparently he's suffering from some internal issues, right? Because somebody that has already gone to jail and been behind those 4 walls and those gates and shit, in your right mind, you don't want to go back. So you're not going to be doing, you know, all this hoopla and all this low vibrational shit when you do come home and you right back into situations, you know. So yeah, he fucked up, you know. And Pooh Shiesty, if you ever see this, you know, I mean this with all love in my heart. You should book a session with me, right? Because I want to get down to the root of the problem, you know, like how was your childhood, you know? How did you grow up? You know, what internal things are you suffering from? You know, I can help you reach those rooted issues within you and help you bring them out to the forefront, because clearly there are some internal issues and I think you need help. So I am praying for you and I'm wishing the best for you out of this situation, but it looks bad. It looks bad. I can't lie. You know, I can't. God is watching. You know, I can't lie, you know? So however the situation turns out, if you ever see this, book a session with me, and I seriously want to help. I want to give you some spiritual guidance. So there's that. And then, how I know Pooh Shiesty has some internal issues is because his father, who's supposed to be senior Pooh Shiesty, was in on it, you know, allegedly. And oh my God, the father is supposed to be, you know, the leader. You know, the father is supposed to be, you know, the one, you know, the leader, the one in charge, the one that is calling the shots. But you know, calling the shots from a regulated nervous system, having emotional regulation, and you know, operating on the right side of his brain, therefore keeping his son in check and his children in check to not backtrack, right, and things that we have already grown from, miracles that God has already saved us, you know, situations where God has sent miracles in to save us and help us through, right? But no, the father clearly has a lot of internal issues as well, which is why Pooh Shiesty is still suffering in his life. That is a generational curse. When you have father and son out here doing the exact same things, and you know, that is a dangerous game you're playing, because you know, remember we spoke about this in the Young Miami video, you know, when you have a generational curse over your bloodline, you're setting your entire bloodline back, and that is a dangerous thing to do, you know, because you guys have children, and you have little cousins and nieces and nephews and this and that, and people that are looking up to you. I mean, Pooh Shiesty is one of the #1 rappers in America, you know, in the world, and people, them young boys is looking up to you, you know. And if this case proves to show that you did that shit, what are you showing these children that's looking up to you to go out there and fucking kidnap a motherfucker and choke him up, and, you know, because he got you locked in a 360 deal before you signed that shit? You were supposed to get a fucking lawyer, and you were supposed to have the lawyer look over the shit so your ass won't be in a fucking caught in a bind later on, you know. But no, you quickly signed the shit, you know. And whether it was by choice or by motherfucking force, you motherfuckers have money. Y'all flexing that money on the internet. Stacks of fucking money, 100K, 200K, okay? And, you know, so if you have this money, you should be able to book a fucking lawyer, and you should be able to get down to the facts. My God, you guys have so much resources and so much access, you know, to make the right decisions over your life. And it's like, you're not only failing yourself, but you're failing the people. When you know that you have people looking up to you, it's a responsibility. You have a duty to act with integrity. God is watching you. You know, it is your duty to, just the way the Lord has brought you out of poverty, and the Lord has brought you from fucking, you know, living in the hood and shit, and now you're living in these mansions and all this shit, and you know, where you don't have to worry about what am I going to eat the next day. You don't have to clock into a 9 to 5 like most of this fucking society. You have so much blessings in your motherfucking life, nigga, and you choose to go out here and kidnap Gucci Mane. Now, you know, I don't know too much about Gucci Mane. I just know that, you know, he's married, he has a few kids, he's done time in the pen. People say that he's a clone, blue, they blue. But the fact that this man has done time, right, And not only that, but he came out, he seems as though he is a changed man. He even went on a whole mental health campaign, you know, to talk about his bipolar, schizophrenic, and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Allegedly, put it in the comments, right? This is all off the top of the dome. So whatever I am, you know, misconstruing or I'm getting incorrect, it's all right. It's all right. Put it in the comments, right? But I do remember seeing him. I think I touched on it. I forgot where. Was it on? I think it was on my TikTok. And, you know, I remember seeing him on the Breakfast Club, talking to Charlamagne and Envy, and, you know, talking about how he went through all these struggles with his mental health and this and that, and his wife has been there for him, and, you know, all these things. And to know that that man has done his time, came out, and what it looks like to the public, I mean, we don't know him personally, right? But what it looks like to the public, it looks like Gucci is a changed man, right? Y'all should have known this was a bad go. Like, this was a bad go. This was a no-go. This was a no-no. It was just a no-no. Like, did y'all think that he was just gonna let y'all do that to him and he wasn't gonna say shit? Because, you know, if he's done time and he done came out and he's been out for some years and he done, you know, apparently he has put out this new image and he's this new person, and clearly the man don't want to go back. He has his wife, he's with his wife, he has his children, you know, he is blossoming however way he is blossoming in his life. What do y'all think? Did y'all honestly think that he was going to just let y'all do that shit to him and everything was going to be all right? I understand the fact that, you know, y'all want to be released from these motherfucking deals, right? We talking your livelihood, we talking your money, you know, we're talking your sanity. I understand that, you know, but there's other ways that you should be going about dealing with these situations in your life. A lawyer, a lawsuit. Take it that route. Take it the professional route. I've seen many celebrity and artists where, you know, they wasn't being let out of their deal, so you had to take the problems and put it in your own motherfucking hands and handle it the right way, which is through the courts. Let a judge have a say-so of how we about to hash this shit out. Because I know, you know, this is how they should have been thinking, right? Because I know I don't want to go back to jail. I know that most likely he doesn't want to go back to jail. I don't want the people around me to go to jail. So, but no, y'all think to kidnap the man, allegedly. I had to touch on this because this shit is crazy. It's 2026. Do we all not understand that there's cameras everywhere? Do we all not understand that, you know, a motherfucker will, to be honest with you, motherfuckers ain't playing about their freedom, y'all. Motherfuckers ain't playing about their life. You know, I just think there's so many other routes they could have took, you know, and then I'm listening to the fucking, the press conference on Hollywood Unlocked, and they saying that it's like 9 people involved, and, you know, they got it all on the security cameras at the studio in Dallas, Texas, and it's just like, whoa. So nobody thought to say, hey guys, so I don't think this is a good idea, and I think we should think more about this. I think we should try to find a different way. Like, how about we just talk to the lawyers and, you know, have the lawyers send Gucci a lawsuit, you know? But no, we all just charged in that motherfucking studio, held him and tried to force him to sign the release of the 360 deal. I am literally, like, I'm astonished. I am. I don't even know what else to say. I think the world needs serious help. I do. It's time for everybody to truly start healing. You know, seriously. Start healing from your mommy issues, your daddy issues, you know, you growing up in a foster care system, you coming from a dysfunctional family, you growing up from a poverty-stricken areas, you growing up from the hood, you growing up in a trailer park, you growing up on food stamps, Section 8, NYCHA, public housing, and all that shit. You realizing that there is more to life than your trauma. God has only allowed you to go through the trauma because he wanted to use the trauma to make your spirit renewed, to help you become a new person. He never intended, the intent behind the Lord allowing you to go through struggles in your motherfucking life is not to turn you into a motherfucking heathen ass demon, motherfucker. That's not the point. The point is to make your spirit renewed, to become a new person, a better person, a healthy person, a good person. But because y'all don't have anybody around you giving y'all the real, you get lost in the sauce. You get lost somewhere along the journey, and you start realizing that, well, maybe this is it for me. Maybe I went through all that to turn dark, to be a fucked up motherfucker, you know? I'm here to let you know today that you have got it wrong. You have got it misconstrued. Start changing your heart's posture today, because if you don't, you're going to end up just like that. And again, to Pooh Shiesty, because I know how people, listen, when people are operating on lower levels, I know how quick it is to be quick to anger and quick to violence and quick to want to clap back. I'm not that person, you know. We're not going to be clapping back on the internet. We're not doing that. You know, we're not going to get in the street and fight. We're not doing that. I'm showing you the healthy ways to go about your life and your life's issues. You have to heal. If you have not clocked into a motherfucking therapy session, at this point in your life, however old you are, 22, 25, 30, 46, 68, do it. You need help. And then on top of that, once you finish the therapy sessions, I need you to find a spiritual healer or a spiritual advisor, somebody that can even go deeper than a therapist. Because see, therapists, they go to college and they learn all these techniques and protocols and shit. And shout out to the therapists out there. But I believe that a spiritualist, spiritual healer, spiritual advisor can go even deeper to the depths of your soul where you have not even gotten yet. After you finish your therapy sessions, check in with a spiritualist, spiritual healer, spiritual advisor. We all go by different names, okay? I would do that as soon as possible. And I would start to just unpack my life's trauma and everything that I've gone through in my life. And you don't have to, just because you go to therapy and you want to see a spiritual advisor or whatever, you don't have to only talk about the bad, because you're not only bad, right? You have had some good points in your life, right? Do you remember your 5th birthday party? Do you remember going to your first prom? How about your first girlfriend? Your first kiss? How about when you got that A on your project at school? How about when you made the basketball tournament, right? When you were fucking 16, How about when your dad bought you your first bike, or your grandpa, How about when you had your son, right? Or your first child, right? How about when you graduated high school, got your GED, or etc., etc., etc. You all know where I'm going with this. You have also had good moments in your life. It has not all been bad. So follow the steps that I'm giving you. Do what you need to do. Because if you don't, baby, your ass is a goner. You're doomed. You see, because God wants to see that you are helping yourself. He will help you every fucking time and time again. But he will help you even more when he sees that you are helping your motherfucking self. And I'm gonna leave it right there. I hope everybody in this situation turns out to be okay. I truly hope that you all, not just Pooh Shiesty, but his father, even Gucci, and the rest of the clique that was with him, all of y'all asses need to go seek therapy, right? Seek some spiritual guidance so we can begin to unpack everything. Because there's things inside of you that are not healed. Because a healed person would not make those decisions. A healed person realizes that there is another way. So everybody else, I hope you enjoyed. I love you. And I will see you back in the next one. Bye.